There we go. What's happening, gentlemen? Steve Maeda here, and we have a question today about infidelity and divorce and how this affects you and all the different aspects of it. And we're going to dive into a lot. Of course, this is just a free-flowing video podcast or whatever you want to call it that's streaming live on the Austin Men's Development Facebook group. But in this, I really want to cover a lot of bases. We answer this question a lot. We help men who are navigating a divorce or maybe a separation or finding out that their wife cheated on them. We handle that really well in a lot of ways, and there's a protocol to it. So that's what we are going to cover now. Okay, so Steve Maeda here. If you don't know me, I'm a men's coach. I'm located out of Austin, Texas. We have international groups, and I'm 43 years old and have been through two really nasty custody battles. The last divorce I did was the last one I did. Well, the only one I've done was really profound, and a lot of pain, a lot of insights, and a lot of stuff that we work with here with men in Men's Development Excellence. We've had our groups for 15 years. We're more than prepared to help you guys out here. So let's get into this. We hear this a lot when a man or a woman or whatever, but let's just speak to men, is going through a divorce. There is a lot of gossip that goes around. And there's a couple things that you really need to understand. Infidelity is almost always there, and it's bad. It's terrible. We talk trash. I do not want to diminish the anger and rage and feelings of vengeance that you will feel in this, but I do want to talk to you about this overall thing. So infidelity is for real, but when we are going through a divorce legally, when we're going through alimony, when we're going through custody, it may not matter. So in certain states, we'd have to talk about it. And this is why you would want to be a part of MDX or something like that, where you're actually really working with men, you're working with myself, you're working in depth on what you can do about this infidelity, is it may not matter in your state if infidelity happens legally when it comes to alimony and when it comes to child support, when it comes to custody. These are things that you have to know. And if you do not know them, you could be wasting a lot of legal energy on this. Let me tell you, man, a good lawyer is going to cost you $350 an hour to $500 an hour, maybe more than that. Maybe they're only $100 an hour, but you do not want to be spending any of that money because it adds up quick on things that don't matter. And this is something that really needs to be understood. But on the other side of this, there's this huge part of infidelity that is enraging. It's painful. It's terrible. When somebody treats you in that way, and then they do screw you over in child support, or they do screw you over with custody or alimony and all these different things. And we see these divorced dads Facebook groups like littered with guys just complaining about this all the time, and how they caught their ex and where their minds went and all this stuff. I mean, I hate to say it, is actually normal when dealing with this massively traumatic betrayal of trust and so on. So when we're on that path of finding out that our wives or our spouse or whatever it is has been unfaithful to us, it's highly traumatic. And as a man, you have to be able to deal with that. And I want to talk about something that's very, very important here when it comes to our groups. Number one, legally, right now, if that's your thing, if you're going through a divorce, you have to understand how this plays into the legal equation. I just want to tell you some experience from my divorce. There was infidelity that happened within that. And within that case, what we were fighting over, it didn't matter. All right. So the infidelity did not matter in that case. However, the fact that in the case of infidelity, my ex was lying about multiple things that were going on, and these things happened repeatedly, my lawyer was able to structure it in a way where that did matter. So if this makes sense, and I don't want to get too much into the details, but there were some things that directly affected child custody and our arrangements post our separation and so on that directly affected that. The fact that she was blatantly, into her own fault, lying about these things over and over again, and it was easily provable, and just showing another act of perjury or whatever you want to call it. Man, that was something that does matter to a jury. Okay. That does matter in the strategic case. Okay. Now imagine this, if you're a man and you understand this and you're angry about it and your lawyer can fight that fight for you, it's real easy to get carried away and screw yourself and screw over your family in some different ways in this. And this leads me to this next thing. So the first thing is you have to understand the laws and the strategy legally on how to figure this all out. And you're not going to get it from a YouTube video. You need to work it out with your lawyer. And I would highly, highly recommend being a part of at least our men's group or other men's groups that are familiar with this. And there are not a lot that are familiar with the law from in many different areas. So now we move to this other side of, in this whole process, we always say you have to be able to be like a general. You're no longer a soldier. You're no longer somebody who's throwing yourself on the grenade and doing, what needs to be done for the cause. You're a general who is looking at what winning looks like way down the road. And what winning looks like way down the road for a man in the only type of separation and divorce, or whatever you want to call it, custody battle that we promote here, is one of peace, one that is best for the family. And so as you're navigating through this in this crazy, horrible experience of breaking apart a family and potentially, hearts being broken and high levels of trauma and all the stuff that men don't like to talk about, you need to look at what is that outcome. Do you want peace? And you do, right? And I said, this is really the only thing that we promote. But in that, you're going to feel vengeance. You're going to feel anger. You're going to feel disgust. You're going to feel rage, jealousy, all this sort of stuff. And you as a man need to be able to handle that. And to truly walk this path of the high road isn't just making a decision and going, I'm doing the right thing. It's being able to properly work through those different feelings. Feeling like, man, I want to kill these people. I want to hurt these people. I want to wreck these people's lives and reputations. But at the same time, is that general speaking to his soldiers, and you're both in this, is it has to be that, no, we have to control things. We have to learn how to fight. And I want to also bring up something from my case. There's so much to be said. I wish there was a way I could talk about it more freely without giving it too much disrespect. But in my case, I walked out of our initial legal processes. Well, I walked into it. Let's say I walked into that with a very good strategy, with a very good lawyer, knowing what we wanted to work for, knowing what would get us the custody that we wanted, knowing how to navigate that and how to leverage if her legal team would make certain mistakes. And they did, right? How to leverage the stuff which didn't matter in child custody in our favor. All right. In that process, we almost immediately got what we wanted. It was almost the perfect storm, but it was the perfect storm because I had a pretty clean side of the street. And unfortunately, in this case, she didn't. That had to do with child custody, and her attack on me, which is how it started. She started attacking me first. I didn't take her to court right away, but her attack was sloppy and it was basically a lie. It was not true. When I had that, it was very easy. Well, I say easy, but it was very stressful. It was very simple for my attorney to dismantle that. Okay. And in that process, I could have walked away with whatever I wanted. Now, this didn't happen, but I could have walked away with full custody. I could have pressed charges against her, could have pressed child abuse charges against her, could have pressed criminal charges against her. There were a lot of different angles. Like I said, we had a really good plan. None of those things did I want to do, but all of those things I needed to implement over her. And why is that? And this is where I want you to understand. In a lawyer-to-lawyer deposition courtroom setting, I allowed myself to have maximum leverage and quite a bit of terror and pain and whatever to put upon her. And when you're angry and you're going through a divorce, those things are, they're like crack. You want to do more of them. You want to do more and more and more. But I had a good team around me. I had a good container around me to be able to dismantle those things. And one of the ways that we did it was as soon as after the deposition, where a lot of this stuff unfolded. I mean, that thing just basically made it really hard for her to ever attack me in whatever ways. That made it possible, for me to go with my team, say what happened, talk about my anger, do the high fives, do the shit talking, do the, oh man, fuck her. Oh, she tried to do this, or you should have seen that, or whatever. And to walk away with it with like a general being what's going to be best for my family. So I want to just articulate this. There's a big difference between me being able to press charges against somebody for some almost socially inexcusable actions and actually doing it. And being wise enough to make the decision of what is right and wrong. And this has happened to me. I did have false child abuse charges put on me, and they were eventually absolved within this case. This is crazy. So with that, that's a very important distinction for a man to understand. And I almost want to say, I want to do another video just on this in general, because you will need to fight and protect yourself in ways which work 100% if you are in this custody battle or divorce, and you have to do it. You're going to have to go hard. But when to stop and when to not cross the line, because it's a lot easier to forgive being humiliated or whatever you want to call it in a deposition than it is to end somebody's career, end somebody's reputation, and have them put in jail, which has actually happened to me, than to just have it settled in court. That's the difference between 6 months and 5 years of holding different resentments. And that's what we need to start thinking for you if you're going through this situation. Long story short, guys, I'm going to tell you this. A lot of the stuff that you're pissed off about in your divorce or in your separation or whatever's going on is something to be handled within a men's group. It's something to be handled amongst your friends. It is something to be handled in yourself and how you got to heal that. But in a lot of cases, you're going to waste time legally with it. And this is 100% why you need to get with a group who knows how to navigate this. You need to be able to pick the right lawyer, and you need to not get sold by a bad lawyer. I got a ton of information out there for you for free. There's our free PDFs. We're also putting together an entry-level course for this. But the best thing that you could do right now, if you wanted to guarantee yourself saving hundreds of thousands of dollars and not paying even more money or extra money in alimony or child support, is sign up for something like Men's Development Excellence. It will help you. This is what we do, and we've done it for 15 years. So on that note, I'm going to sign out. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. And if you're watching this, you might not be having a great day, but man, days get a lot better. Being a single father is a great, great life. You just got to know how to live it. Okay. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.